Good afternoon, viewers. I am Dr. Amarjit Kaur. I am Professor of Accounting and Dean at Faculty of Commerce and Management, Gurugram University, Gurugram. This is my privilege to be here and discuss the topic how to prepare receipt and payment account. So, in this session, we are going to discuss what is receipt and payment account, what are the salient feature of this particular account, how do we prepare this particular account, all steps involved in preparation of receipt and payment account, and finally I intend to show you and discuss a format of receipt and payment account. So, I hope you would be with me for the next few minutes to understand this topic. So, friends, as we all understand that receipt and payment account is prepared by not-for-profit organizations. So, all those organizations which are not in the business of making profits, they are not in the business of business, in other words, if I may say, they are in the business of service, right? Those particular organizations, they need to prepare receipt and payment account, which becomes the basis for preparation of balance sheet and income and expenditure account later on. So, this receipt and payment account is basically a real account. The rules of real accounts are applicable on this particular account. It has two sides, debit side and the credit side, and we show receipts on the debit side and payments on the credit side. Further, in the receipt side, we would acknowledge, we will actually record all receipts irrespective of their nature. What does it mean? It means that we are going to record receipts of revenue or recurring nature as well as receipt of capital nature, right? So, doesn't matter where do I receive the money from, either the source is the current nature or it is of capital nature. I am going to record that receipt in this particular account. And so is for the payment. Doesn't matter I am paying for a recurring nature expenditure or I am paying for a capital nature expenditure, I am supposed to record both kind of payments in this particular account on the payment side, right? And not only this, my receipts and payments may belong to the current year or the previous year or even the future year. I am supposed to be recording receipts and payments which have happened in this particular year. Doesn't matter they belong to which year, right? So, which means the accrual accounting is not followed here in this particular account. Okay. Then, other than this, in this particular account, so as I said, it's a real account. So, all the rule of real accounts are going to be applied. So, whatever we follow in normal accounting, the same real account rules are going to be applied here. Okay. So, the beginning point of this particular account is that we take opening balance of cash and bank, and at the end we would have closing balance of both cash and bank balance, right? So, this is how this particular account works. So, if we talk about the salient features of this particular account, the first of all purpose of this particular account is to find out closing balance of cash or the bank. That is the first purpose of this particular account, right? The second is the nature of account. So, this nature of account is real account, right? So, as I just mentioned, this is a real account. So, we have to follow the rule of real account in this particular account. Okay. So, now the next point is what is the starting point of this account. The starting point of this account is the opening balance. So, the opening balance of cash and bank both are taken into consideration. If let us say I have the positive opening balance, certainly it will go on the debit side. And if I have the bank balance which is overdraft, it will go on the credit side. So as a very much same pattern we followed in the cash book. So we follow the same pattern in the receipt and payment account, right? Now the next salient feature of this account is the items which are debited are both revenue and capital items, and same way the items which we credit are again revenue and capital items, right? So both nature items, either revenue or capital nature, if they are receipts they would be on the debit side, and if they are payments then they would be on the credit side, right? Now the next question comes in, what do we expect as a closing balance of this particular account? So first of all friends, the closing balance would be the balancing figure, right? So the balancing figure would be either the cash or the bank positive value or the negative value. If let's say my debit side is higher, here the debit side represents receipts, then my credit side which represents payments, okay. So if my debit side represents receipts and is higher, that's what I am assuming, then certainly I would have positive balance at the end of the accounting period, right? So cash will never have negative balance, but nevertheless the bank balance can have overdraft facility, which means the bank can have credit balance, whereas cash will always have debit balance in the closing balance if any balance is there. The next point about receipt and payment account is this, that we exclude certain items which are of non-cash item. What could be the example? Either it is a non-for-profit organization or a normal business organization which are for-profit organizations. They all need to use certain kind of non-current assets like building, land, machinery, plant, etc., etc. You take any example. You take an example of club. So in the club we will have equipments maybe in the gym. So in the sports club we have the gym and we have machines which may have life of 10 years, 20 years, 15 years, right? So those machines are subject to depreciation. So depreciation is a permissible item for taxation purposes, and we do subtract it when it comes to preparing the accounts for taxation purposes. But in the receipt and payment account we do not include any item which is non-cash item, and it means depreciation of that particular club would be excluded. We are not going to record this in the expenditure or in the payment side, right? You can take any other example of non-cash item. We may create certain reserves, right? Current reserves for the current period. So even those reserves, because they are non-cash items, we are going to exclude it, okay. So these are the certain features of receipt and payment account. Now I would be discussing how to prepare receipt and payment accounts. What are the steps involved in the receipt and payment accounts preparation? So moving forward, so next thing is steps. So the first step is that we record the opening balance of cash in hand and favorable balance of bank on the debit side of receipt and payment account. So that's how we begin, right? So if I have favorable balance of bank, only then it is going to go on the debit side. If I have unfavorable adverse balance, which means the negative balance, which is basically bank overdraft, then it will go on the credit side of this account as an opening balance. The second step would be the actual cash receipts during the year are recorded on the debit side and the actual cash payments during the year are recorded on the credit side, right? So irrespective, either they are capital nature, revenue nature, they belong to current year or previous year or even the subsequent year. Only condition is that we should have received the cash this year, and for payment the same rule is applicable. The only condition is that we should have paid that amount in this year. So, we are going to record that amount in the credit side of the account, which is payment side, if it is made in this year. So, that is the second step, that identify all those receipts and payments which have been made in this second step and put them on receipt side or payment side as the case may be. Alright, coming to the next step. As I said, we do not make any distinction between capital and revenue items. So, all amount received and paid would be recorded in this year, irrespective of the actual year they belong to. Now, the next step is, if the total of the debit side is more than the credit side, the balancing figure would appear on the credit side. So, next step basically is to balance the account. We are going to balance, and a normal account balance is always determined by subtracting the smaller size or smaller value from the higher value. So, my debit side could be higher, my credit side could be higher. It will depend on the transactions, right? So, we would be subtracting the lower value from the higher value, and the difference would always be written on the opposite side. If my debit side is higher, the difference would be written on the credit side. If my credit side is higher, the difference would be written on the debit side, right? So, this procedure is known as balancing of an account, and the same thing would be applied here in this particular account as well, right? Now, this balancing figure in the case of bank could be both, debit side could be higher or credit side could be higher. So, which means we may have bank overdraft facility, though this cannot be true for cash. In the cash, only the receipt side would be higher. We can never pay more than what we received, right? So, this is how all the steps are followed one by one to prepare receipt and payment account. Now, I shall be discussing the format. So, please have a look at the format. At the top, we would be showing the name of the company, right? And if you look, we have shown you here 6 columnar account. We can have the 6 columnar account, or we can have 4 columnar as well. This is up to you. So, in the left hand side, we have receipts, and the receipts have been categorized into 2 categories, revenue receipts and capital receipts, but this is the matter of choice. You may like to just put all the items together, right, in a running format, but it is recommended that if we put receipts of revenue nature in one class, so this would be classified information, and if you put all the capital expenditure items in a separate class as a second class, then this will give you a classified information, which means the total of revenue receipts and the total of capital receipts can be assessed in a lump sum, in an absolute value. So, that is what we show in the first column. Second column, as you have noticed, we show the amount. Here we show the working for the amount. This is the inner column for amount, and the last column of the left hand side is the total amount which pertains to different receipts received during the year. So, this was the debit side or the left hand side of the account. Coming to credit side, we have payments, and again the payments have been categorized into 2 parts, revenue nature payments and capital payments. So, we are showing revenue payments first, and then we are showing the capital payments. Okay. So, the purpose of showing them separately is to get the classified information, because this helps in analyzing the transactions, this helps in decision making, right. Even the non-for-profit organization need to take a call if they are not receiving subscription fees, if they are not receiving any interest which is due for the year, they need to take a call, they need to take some action, right. So, classified information is always helpful in decision making, in taking corrective actions. That's why it is recommended to use the classified information. Then we have the fifth column, which shows again the amount, but this is the inner column, right? We show the inner column or any calculation, any adjustments. So we show adjustment in this column, and lastly the last column shows the absolute amount of the payment head, whichever the head we may be solving at. Now I am going to discuss in detail all the items one by one, and would request you to please have a look at the slide. So please have a look at the slide what is written. So we are going to discuss this in detail. The first item, as you see, is the balance brought down, right? So in the balance brought down, we have two heads, cash in hand and the bank balance or cash at bank, right? So the sum of these two is written together in the outer column of amount. Okay. Then in the revenue receipt, the most important receipt for any not for profit organization is subscription. So we write to subscription. So the amount of the subscription received either belonging to this year, previous year or subsequent year would be written in the outer column value. The next item is to entrance fees. So all the entrance fees received during the year would be written here. Then the next item possible, it's not the actual item, it may or may not be there for all the organizations which are into not for profit activities. The next item is the journal donations which are of journal nature, they are recorded here. And then we record any grant in aid which is received on a regular basis, any grant received from a government body or from any other institution is recorded here. Then sale of any old newspaper as a regular item is recorded. The next item would be to interest on investment. So whenever a non-for-profit organization invests any security, any financial instrument investment, the interest received is always taken as a recurring receipt, is going to be debited on the receipt side under the receipts of recurring nature. Then we have dividend. So the non-for-profit organizations can actually invest in any shares of any particular company and they may get the dividend. Right? It's not that only a business which is into for profit activities can invest into shares or only individuals can invest. In fact, any institution, any organization who is interested to buy shares of companies can buy and they will get the dividend, right? So the dividend received during the year would be debited in the receipt side in the amount column. Then we have the local rent received. So the amount of local rent which is received for lockers which are given, which are extended as an services, as an activity in the non-for-profit organization. It could be a club where the lockers are given. It could be a sports complex where lockers are issued. It could be any religious organization where people come and stay for long. Even there the lockers facilities are available. So generally the locker facilities are given on the basis of some rent, hourly rent, monthly rent. So that rent received is also a revenue nature receipt and is going to be debited in this account. Then we have sundry receipts. Other than these items which I just discussed, if we have any other receipt, they all are also going to be debited in the receipt column. Now coming to the capital receipts. So if you notice in the capital receipt we have life membership fees. So this life membership fees is basically actually a debatable issue. Few scholars they feel that this life membership fees can be a recurring nature receipt, whereas the others say that no, this is a lifelong receipt which is going to be paid only once by a member, so it should be treated as capital. So if nothing is said in the question or in the any given case, we recommend that you should take it as a capital receipt only. Okay. Then we have donations for specific purposes. So all the donations which are of general in nature, we took it at the top, we took it as a recurring receipt. But if we have donations which are of specific purposes, they are going to be taken here. Okay. So other item, the next item is the legacy item, right? So I'm like, what is legacy? So legacy is basically somebody who is at the deathbed and actually write down that my property, my ownerships, whatever it could be, whatever the assets I may have in my possession, they should go to a particular organization. It could be a religious organization which is a non-for-profit organization. It could be a club, it could be a library, any place, right? So these legacies amounts are not revenue nature items, they are capital nature item, and they would be shown here in this head, right? So all the legacies amount received during the year would be written under this head. The next item could be endowment. The endowments are people donate certain huge amount, saying that the income of that particular capital amount could be used for scholarship, could be used for any meeting up any expenditure. So those funds are known or taken as endowment funds. Even endowment funds are not received on daily basis. So that's why we treat them as capital receipt. The other receipts could be, the payments which are received or amounts which are received by selling of fixed assets. Again, a non-for-profit organization doesn't keep on selling a non-current assets on regular basis. This is not a very frequent activity, right? So the sale of non-current assets, whatever the amount we receive, is a capital nature item, and we show this under the capital receipts. So other than that, we could be miscellaneous receipts which are of special funds, special sports fund, any particular fund. So all those receipts which are of not on regular basis are going to be shown under the capital receipts. And the same rule applied in the credit side under the payment. So the payments like salaries, rent, insurance, wages, honorarium, they all are revenue items. And payments like we purchase building, we purchase furniture, such payments are capital payments. So that's how we categorize on the payment side as well. So this was the format, friends. I hope you could understand steps to prepare our receipt and payment account, the format as well. In next part, we are going to take caselets and we will learn how to practically prepare receipt and payment account. So I expect to see you soon. Thank you very much for being with me.